Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Martrich here with the outlook for August 26, 2016. For your Friday, another hot day. It looks like it's going to be, temperatures are going to be getting up to the 90-degree mark for our central and southern areas. We are going to have a weak cold front that's going to move through very early in the morning, but that's not going to do anything to affect temperatures, it looks like, for this weekend. It will lower humidity, so humidity will be a little bit lower than it was on Thursday, but those clouds that increased later in the day was in association with a dying cold front, and the rest of that will push through this morning. So you might have a few, called a mix of sun and clouds early on, and then we're going to get into mostly sunny skies by the end of the day. No precipitation expected. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody gets into a stray shower, but it would be a 10% chance if that happened. Very unlucky chance, I should say, for that to happen. So we get to later in the day, we have nothing going on here on Friday. Again, we get into this weekend, it's going to be a mostly sunny weekend. No precipitation to speak of, but it's going to be on the warm side. Here's a look at Saturday. Again, upper 80s near 90 across the coverage area for high temperatures, but the humidity, again, is still not too bad. Same thing here on Sunday. We do have a system coming in from the west. This is actually a cold front that's pushing in from the west, and this cold front will be far enough to the west, we think, that it will keep any precipitation away from us. This is also one of those dying fronts. So again, we talked about this all week. You have high pressure that's sitting out here in the Atlantic like this. So you have a ridge that's set up over the east, and any of these fronts that are coming in against this ridge, they're running up against it, and they're just getting squeezed out. So any moisture in between is barely even, it's almost non-existent as they come further east, because it's really killing these fronts. So as we get into the Monday, Tuesday time frame, you have an isolated chance for a thunderstorm on Monday. That's what's shown here, very isolated. And the same thing here on Tuesday. What looked like more of a scattered threat in previous runs is now looking more isolated as we get a little bit closer. And I talked about that in yesterday's video, that as we get a little bit closer, the models start picking up on the fact that there's still this ridge here, and it's running into that ridge. It's really going to be hard to squeeze out any precipitation. So not expecting much precipitation other than isolated, both Monday afternoon and evening, and the same thing for Tuesday afternoon and evening until this front clears off to the south. Now that's going to be here on Wednesday, it looks like. Now we are going to be watching down to the south. This is the moisture that you're seeing here is in association with what this model depicts to be a tropical storm that's going to affect Florida with some heavy rain. Now, it's very uncertain what this thing does. I'm going to go over to a visible satellite image. Now, you just saw it go black there, and it's going to keep looping. The black it's a visible satellite, so when the sun goes down, you don't see it. But when you do see it, you can see the low-level circulation right here over the southeastern Bahamas. So there's your circulation of this system. You can see there's nothing around it. There's no convection firing around it, so it's a very lonely and pathetic looking system. Okay, so what's going to end up happening is the eventuality of this, and you can see, I'm going to stop this in the radar image. The eventuality of this system, which that spin was occurring, was like right about here. What that's going to end up doing is kind of go up here just on the north coast of Cuba and head out here like this in this direction. Now, all week the models were showing maybe a tropical storm hitting southern Florida. Some models now are indicating that this won't even be, this will just be barely a depression by the time it gets up in this area, if that. It might still be an open wave with no clear defined low. So with a lot of different possibilities with this. Once it gets in the Gulf of Mexico, though, it will have a much more favorable environment for development and rapid development at that. So we don't want to write this off just yet. But it does look like it was taking aim. We said all week it was going to take aim at southern half of Florida or the Florida Keys. That's still the case. Okay, that is still the case. Nothing's changed there. And we said we don't want to go beyond that for a reason, because the models are going to be very erratic, and we've seen that. So we're just going to continue to follow this and see how it progresses in the next couple days. There's a possibility it tracks too far south over Cuba, and the mountains just rip whatever circulation it has apart, and it essentially becomes nothing. So that's also a possibility. So either way, we're going to track this over the weekend and see where it goes, and then go from there. But right now, it just doesn't look like it's much of anything in the visible satellite loop. You can see a little swirl here, but that's about all it's got. All it has going for it, and you just need some convection firing around that center. Once the shear dies down, maybe it'll start doing that. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Martrich. That is your outlook for August 26, 2016. Have a great Friday.